Story 1. Once upon a time, amidst the dark underbelly of Craigslist, I found myself entangled in a sinister web of events that shook me to my core. It all began when my life had hit rock bottom. Thanks to my deranged ex-girlfriend who had not only stolen my belongings but also shattered my dreams of a future together. Left with nothing but my trusty truck and the shelter of my friend's humble abode, I sought solace in the comfort of familiar faces. Seeking respite from my shattered heart, I sought refuge at the local bar before finding temporary sanctuary at my friend's place. However, his meager living conditions offered no respite, and I ended up collapsing on the floor, devoid of a proper resting place. As the morning light pierced through my weary eyelids, my friend stirred me awake, offering his hospitality as long as I found an alternative to the cold, hard floor. Ever the opportunist, my friend struck a deal. I could stay with him, provided I assisted him in moving a couch into the house using my truck. Desperate for a semblance of comfort, I readily agreed, and together we embarked on a journey to a stranger's house in search of a second-hand couch. Although my instincts warned me against the perils of Craigslist, my desperation outweighed my concerns. As we arrived at the stranger's abode, an unsettling feeling washed over me, the place reeking of disorder and decay. Nonetheless, my friend reassured me that the couch was practically brand new, as indicated in the listing. Skepticism lingered until my eyes beheld the couch, confirming my friend's claims. It may have retained a lingering scent of factory chemicals, but it appeared to be in decent condition. The seller, however, embodied the quintessential Craigslist nightmare. A twitchy, greasy man with a set of repulsive teeth and a pungent odor, he exuded an air of malevolence. Yet, that wasn't the worst of it. Amidst his strange ramblings, he uttered a cryptic remark, insinuating that he had desired female customers instead. Clearly, his intentions were dubious, driven solely by his desperation for a quick fix and a disregard for our safety. Brushing off the creep's unsettling behavior, my friend and I focused on the task at hand. We maneuvered the couch into the back of my truck and hastily retreated from the disturbing presence of the seller. Throughout the ride back, we cracked jokes, attempting to alleviate the lingering unease that clung to our thoughts, until we finally arrived home and triumphantly placed the couch in its designated spot. Following another night of drowning my sorrows in a sea of whiskey, I succumbed to the exhaustion, collapsing onto my newfound bed. Inebriated nights often lulled me into deep slumber, but this night proved to be an exception. At approximately 4 in the morning, my eyes abruptly opened, and no matter how hard I tried, sleep eluded me. A throbbing headache demanded my attention, driving me to the kitchen in search of water. Amidst the stillness of the house, I detected a faint sound, initially mistaking it for mere house creaks. The wind outside intensified, rustling leaves in a haunting symphony. Yet there was something more, a noise that beckoned me to investigate. Driven by an innate curiosity, I succumbed to its call, despite my reservations. My friend's trash can was situated behind the front fence gate, adjacent to the living room's outer wall. Eager to identify the source of the commotion, I peered through one of the windows, hoping to catch a glimpse of the creature responsible. To my shock and horror, it was the drunken seller from the Craigslist encounter. He crouched outside, his face twisted into a sinister smile as he stared intently at the couch we had purchased. Enjoying the couch, he taunted, his voice muffled through the glass. Instantly, rage coursed through my veins, and I pounded my fist against the window, unleashing a torrent of anger. "Get out of here, you son of a..." I shouted, my words laced with fury. The man recoiled, fear flashing in his eyes, and he swiftly vanished into the night. Startled, my housemates emerged from their rooms, their sleepy expressions quickly replaced with concern. They inquired about the commotion, but upon learning the cause, they simply shrugged it off and retreated back to their slumber. Meanwhile, I remained on high alert, unable to shake the unsettling feeling that the man might return. Regret consumed me as I berated myself for not recognizing the danger earlier. It dawned on me that we had been unknowingly followed home, and we had narrowly escaped a far more sinister fate while we were out at the bar. Determined to protect ourselves, I enlisted the help of my roommate to transport the ill-fated couch back to the curb. I vowed to replace it with a new one from a reputable store, ensuring that the remnants of that unsettling encounter were banished from our lives. However, as fate would have it, my efforts to sever ties with the couch proved futile. Barely 30 minutes after disposing of it, I chanced upon a disheartening sight. Through the window, I glimpsed the repugnant figures of the seller and his unsavory companion loading the very same couch onto a beat-up old truck. My anger swelled, realizing that their initial plan had been to rob us from the start. Their failed attempt had led them to reclaim their bait, leaving us vulnerable to their twisted intentions. Bitterness washed over me as I ruminated on the possibilities. What if the next buyer turned out to be the girls that the deranged seller had desired? The thought sent a shiver down my spine, for I knew firsthand the danger they would face. Determined to prevent further harm, I resolved to expose the truth behind the seller's sinister actions. I reported the incident to the authorities, providing them with all the information I had gathered from our encounter. It was my hope that they would investigate, bringing justice to those who sought to harm innocent victims through deceitful transactions. In the following weeks, news emerged of a series of arrests linked to the Craigslist seller. It turned out that he was part of a larger criminal network, preying on unsuspecting individuals who sought bargains through the online marketplace. The revelation brought a sense of relief but also served as a stark reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows of the virtual world. As for my friend and me, we remained vigilant, wary of the potential risks associated with online transactions. We learned valuable lessons about trust and the importance of prioritizing our safety over convenience. Craigslist would forever be tainted in our minds, a cautionary tale of the darkness that can manifest behind the veil of anonymity. And so, the horror story of my encounter with Craigslist evolved into a tale of survival, resilience, and the pursuit of justice. It served as a stark reminder that in the depths of desperation, even the most innocuous platforms can transform into breeding grounds for malevolence. Story 2. I recall the most peculiar and unsettling experience that unfolded as a result of my Craigslist ventures. It happened during my time living in a house off campus, alongside 3 fellow college roommates. Despite the tight living quarters, our camaraderie made it an enjoyable experience. My roommates had adorned the living room with an array of impressive items, making my own humble bedroom seem lackluster. Being a college freshman, I wanted to avoid any potential embarrassment when bringing a girl to my room. So, I set out to acquire some cool stuff of my own, just like my roommates. However, lacking musical talent like some of them, I had to find alternative ways to make my room stand out. Craigslist became my go-to platform, initially yielding positive results as I found a few items to make my room more inviting. But it still lacked that special touch. That's when I stumbled upon an intriguing listing, an elderly lady offering her extensive record collection. Though I didn't own a record player, the allure of acquiring these original classics was too strong to resist. I promptly contacted her son, who had posted the ad, and arranged to pick up the collection. The location was far from the bustling city. A gravel driveway led me to a cluttered front yard where a double wide trailer stood. Despite the less than ideal surroundings, I remained determined to secure the records. I parked in front of the trailer and knocked on the door. Seconds later, the son greeted me, an epitome of a stereotypical hillbilly, evident from his appearance and mannerisms. Yet, his background didn't bother me. We conversed briefly outside before he invited me in, and I cautiously stepped inside, expecting the worst. To my expectation, the interior was disheveled and carried a musty odor, but I diverted my gaze from the chaos. He led me to the living room, where his mother, the elderly lady, sat in her cherished rocking recliner, covered in layers of blankets. I settled on the sofa across from her, while the son positioned himself in the doorway. Curiosity got the better of the old lady, and she inquired about my reasons for wanting the records. I confessed my limited knowledge, but expressed my eagerness to delve into this new hobby. Intrigued, she confessed that there was an additional, undisclosed cost associated with the sale. This is where the situation took a disturbing turn. The old lady paused, exchanged a creepy smile with her son, and revealed that she had not been entirely forthcoming. She was willing to sell me the records, but it came at a different price, a price that hadn't been mentioned before. Bewilderment tinged with fear coursed through me as I noticed the son's predatory gaze fixated on me. Worse yet, he blocked the only exit from the living room. Instinctively, I rose to my feet, backing away as he made a move to restrain me and force me back onto the sofa. Amidst the old lady's continued persuasion, claiming her son's loneliness and his desire for companionship, I couldn't contain my growing dread. I shouted at them, labeling them both as crazed individuals, yet the son relentlessly approached, his imposing size and strength intimidating. Realizing I had no chance in a fair fight, I grasped for any advantage I could find. I remembered my older brother's advice to carry a pocket knife for self-defense during Craigslist encounters. Without hesitation, I flicked open the blade, knowing this was my only shot at survival. Without warning, I lunged at the son, the blade finding its mark in the side of his ribs. My hand slipped, resulting in a deep cut to my own finger, but the knife had penetrated about 2 inches into his lung. I swiftly pushed him away, both of us stunned by the sudden turn of events. I glimpsed a mixture of pain and bewilderment in his eyes, unsure of how to react. However, I couldn't afford to stick around and find out. Leaving the knife embedded in his chest, I seized the opportunity to escape through a momentary gap and sprinted past him, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't dare look back until I reached the safety of my car, hastily locking the doors behind me. At that moment, the records I had coveted became insignificant. The price they demanded was one I wasn't willing to pay, regardless of their value. The traumatic encounter left me shaken and prompted me to take a break from Craigslist. I vowed never to return to the platform again. Yet, amidst the chilling experience, there was a silver lining. The scar on my finger, a lasting reminder of that harrowing night, became a conversation starter. I would proudly showcase it, recounting the tale of how I acquired it, a testament to the dangers that lurk behind seemingly innocent online transactions. Since then, I have grown cautious and vigilant, wary of the potential risks associated with anonymous encounters. I've learned to prioritize personal safety above all else, understanding that the allure of a bargain can sometimes lead down a treacherous path. Though my venture into Craigslist ended on a chilling note, I emerged from the ordeal with valuable lessons and a newfound appreciation for the importance of trust and security. And while the scars on my finger may fade over time, the memories of that fateful encounter will forever linger in the recesses of my mind, serving as a reminder of the dangers that can hide beneath the surface of online transactions. Story 3. Craigslist, once a popular platform, has seen a decline in its usage. Nowadays, people prefer using Facebook Marketplace, which offers better safety measures and the ability to know potential buyers or sellers through their profiles. Although I haven't personally used this service, I can see the advantages it provides. However, years ago, I had a haunting experience that made me swear off in-person meetings with strangers from the internet forever. It was when I was 29 years old, and for the past couple of years, I have been using Craigslist to sell off the antiques and knickknacks I had collected since college. These items had become a cluttered obsession, and I needed to let go of them. Living alone in a close-knit condo community, I never felt unsafe, even when meeting internet strangers for transactions. But one fateful day, everything changed when I thought I was finally going to sell the biggest and most expensive item I owned, a magnificent, solid wood dresser that weighed a ton. Its beauty was unmatched, but it required significant manpower to move. I had spoken to one of the interested buyers over the phone, who assured me that he would bring along a friend with a spacious van capable of accommodating the dresser. We agreed to meet at 3 p.m., but as the clock ticked on, they never arrived. Minutes turned into hours, and it was nearly 8 p.m. when they finally knocked on my door. By that time, I was frustrated and skeptical, but they offered profuse apologies and a slew of excuses, claiming they had been held up at work. Fatigued and eager to rid myself of the dresser, I let them in despite my reservations. They seemed like contractors, so I assumed they planned to resell the dresser to a boutique store or embrace the antique lifestyle themselves. Taking them to my room where the dresser resided, they attempted to lift it but were taken aback by its weight. One of the men then requested to use the bathroom before attempting to move something so heavy. Though annoyed, I showed him the way. As we reached the bathroom door, I opened it for him, expecting him to enter. But instead, without warning, he grabbed me and forcefully dragged me inside. Shocked and disoriented, I let out a small scream as my head collided with the tub, intensifying the pain. To my horror, I saw the other man walking in behind him, and together they loomed over me. My senses were overwhelmed, and though I could see, I couldn't gather the strength or coordination to fight back or escape. Fear consumed me as I realized that my life was about to be irreversibly shattered. They rummaged through my pockets, taking away all my belongings. With zip ties, they bound my wrists and ankles, rendering me immobilized, and then sealed my mouth shut with a strip of duct tape. It felt like the end. I wished for death rather than enduring what seemed inevitable. Then, unexpectedly, they both left the bathroom, shutting the door behind them. Confusion swirled within me, mingled with a gnawing fear that they would return to throw me into their van. However, they never did. I spent hours trapped in that bathroom, immobilized and bleeding from my head, gradually recovering from the trauma. Finally, with immense effort, I managed to loosen the duct tape, using my tongue to peel it back enough to start screaming for help. A neighbor heard my desperate cries through the walls and promptly called the police. When they arrived, they discovered not only me but also my ransacked condo, stripped of every valuable possession that those men could carry away. The security camera footage at the front entrance revealed an unmarked van without a license plate. And unfortunately, there was no clear footage of the perpetrators themselves. The police informed me that the chances of apprehending them were slim, and true to their words, the culprits were never found. It has been over a decade since that horrifying night, and the trauma still lingers within me. I often contemplate whether I should be grateful that they merely stole my belongings. After all, the depths to which criminal minds can sink are unimaginable, and I'm relieved that they didn't subject me to even worse horrors. The incident left me with lasting scars, both physical and emotional. I have struggled to trust others, especially strangers, and the sense of security I once had in my community has been shattered. I became hypervigilant, constantly looking over my shoulder and second-guessing people's intentions. In the aftermath, I sought therapy to help me process the trauma and regain a semblance of normalcy. Over time, I learned coping mechanisms and gradually rebuilt my life, albeit with a newfound wariness. While the incident changed me profoundly, it also served as a cautionary tale. I share my story whenever I can, emphasizing the importance of prioritizing personal safety when engaging in online transactions or meeting strangers in person. I encourage others to exercise caution, trust their instincts, and prioritize their well-being above any material possessions. As technology continues to evolve, online platforms adopt improved safety measures, making it easier to verify identities and establish a level of trust. Nonetheless, it is crucial never to let one's guard down entirely. Vigilance and common sense remain essential in navigating the digital world. The scars from that harrowing experience serve as a constant reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind seemingly innocent encounters. I have become more discerning and cautious in my interactions, always prioritizing personal safety above any potential gain. Reflecting on the incident, I often wonder about the individuals who targeted me. What led them down such a destructive path? What drove them to commit such acts of violence? While these questions may never be answered, I am grateful that my life was spared, and I am determined to channel my experiences into raising awareness about personal safety. Ultimately, I have learned that we cannot fully predict the minds and actions of those who choose to engage in criminal activities. However, we can take steps to protect ourselves, educate others, and cultivate a community that prioritizes safety and well-being. As I move forward, I carry the scars of that night as a reminder of my resilience and the strength that can emerge from even the darkest of experiences.